explore alternatives. So in a way, I would like to see it positively as how we can constantly adapt to the ever-changing policies. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, because for your insight. So, I mean, we can definitely tell, right, that there were varied reactions and considerations surrounding the news of this CPF SA adjustments. So, I mean, adaptation seems to be a recurring theme amidst the uncertainty as well. So, let's move on and open the floor for further discussion and exploration of potential strategies. Okay, so before we go on to the first question of the night, we would like to find out actually a little bit more about our audience today by doing a little poll. So we will flash the poll right now. So for poll number 1, the question will be, are you aware of the latest 2024 CPF changes? So we have option number 1 that says yes, number 2 that says no, and the third option will be somewhat aware and confused on the overall changes. So if you are on Facebook, you can comment in the chat box for your answer. And if you are on Zoom, you can just click your answer. So we shall wait for about 1 to 2 minutes for the results to come out. All right, so let's see what the audience thinks tonight. So, okay. So it looks like, most of our audience actually chose yes, they do know, but also many of you chose somewhat aware, but also confused about the overall changes, right? So, okay. So I think, we would like to learn more, right, about the CPF changes. So how about now we can kickstart our first question of the evening, right? So the first question will be, what are the key changes to CPF that I should know about? So maybe we can get Louis to start on this question first.
Yeah, okay. I mean, now it's in April. I know there's been 2 months since this CPF changes as announced. But among the many changes that announced, one of the most critical one, of course, is the closure of CPF as account after age 55. So for everyone, even those who are currently over age 55, will see the SA account close in early 2025. Okay, and this is a big deal because the 4% or 4+% interest will no longer apply, and the remaining money will be transferred to the OA account by default, which giving a lower interest rate of 2.5%. Okay, so the CPF board view this as necessary, although many people don't like it. I personally also don't like it. Okay, because the money in SA account is liquid. I mean, when you turn if you are age after 55. Okay, so if the money is liquid, then just justifying to get a low interest rate. This change aim to address to cover the gap left by the popular CPF SA shielding strategy. Yeah, so technically that is gone in 2025, right? So but if you still want to earn 4+% interest, you can choose to transfer the fund to the RA account, retirement account, okay, to increase the minimum sum for a higher CPF life payout. Okay, but later on we will delve into more detail in the discussion. How about Evelyn? Okay, you can share about the latest change as well.
Okay, another key changes that actually took place since last year, September 2023, affects employees who are actually earning more than 6K per month. So basically, the CPF monthly salary, which is your ordinary wage, ceiling will be gradually raised from 6K to 8K by 2026 for all employees in 4 stages. So currently we are on 1st Jan. For this whole year, it will be increased to 6,008 and gradually will be increased to 8,000 by 2026. So, but do take note that the annual salary ceiling, which limits your total amount of OA as well as additional wages, which is your bonuses, will still remain at 102,000 at this juncture, as well as your CPF annual maximum contribution as an employee or self-employed will also remain unchanged at 37,740. So in essence, the higher CPF monthly salary ceiling leads to a slight reduction in your take-home pay because now it increased by 6 to 8K. But then overall, there's a rise in your money earning because your employer contributes more to your CPF. So how about you, Simon?
Well, the change that I'm going to share, right, is only targeted at the group of age 55 to 65 who are still working. And beginning from 1st January 2025, CPF contributions from both employees and employers will increase. For employees, the increase will be 1%. For the employers' contribution will increase by 0.5%. So in total, the total increase will be by 1.5%. This is done with the focus that the near retirees, right, will have adequate retirement.
Okay, thank you, Simon. Thank you to our speakers who have given such a detailed explanation, on the key changes to CPF, so that we should all take note of and know about. So I'm sure this will give our audience a better idea on what we will be covering for tonight's webinar. Okay, so to continue with the hype of our previous question, let's move on to poll number 2. What is your top concern when it comes to the recent CPF changes in 2024? So, if you are on Facebook, you can comment in the chat box on your answer. And if you are on Zoom, you can just click on your answer. So the first option, we have impact on my current financial situation and retirement planning strategies. And the second option, we have closure of CPF special account for members age 55 and above. For the third option, we have changes to CPF contribution rates and financial implications. And for the last, we have increment of enhanced retirement sum, ERS. Okay, so let's give it about 1 to 2 minutes for the results to come in. Okay, so let's see what our audience thinks tonight. So what is, our audience top concern when it comes to the recent CPF changes? So a lot of you actually chose the closure of the CPF special account for our members aged 55 and above, which I believe everyone is very curious about, right? And most of you also chose impact on my current financial situation and retirement planning strategies. So not to worry, our speakers will be covering all of these points tonight. Okay, so now that we have a better understanding of what are the top concerns, for all of you tonight, we are now on to our second question of the night. How do the recent CPF changes in 2024 impact my retirement planning? And what steps can I take to adapt these updates effectively? So shall we get Simon to share his thoughts first?
I agree with the poll. I think the main impact from these changes comes mainly from the closure of SA account after age 55, as CPF forms the foundation of retirement planning. To adapt to these changes, I think it's essential to have clarity in your planning. So for the start, I would advise to have a check on your current CPF balance first. Review your CPF balance, current balance, and project your future contributions with the changes to ensure that you're on track to meet the prevailing sums for the 3 schemes, mainly basic, full, and enhanced retirement schemes by the age of 55. Okay, you can do this through the CPF website or the mobile app. And also, if anybody has a investment using CPF investment scheme, review your investment strategy to ensure that it aligns with your risk tolerance, retirement goals. Yes. How about you, Louis? What will you share with them?
Yeah, I just pick up on what you just end, which is to realign with retirement goal and risk tolerance. Okay, so of course, when talk about retirement planning, CPF definitely is a crucial, it's a foundation of retirement planning. So with all these changes, I mean, for sure, you have to review your retirement plan. Okay, for instance, okay, example, if you want to retire before age 65, okay, you need to manage your cash flow carefully. This will actually help you to decide whether, like, one of the biggest question that people always ask us, whether to transfer your asset money to your OA account or to RA account. Okay, yeah. So both options actually have their pros and cons. Transferring to OA give you more flexibility with liquidity, but this also means that you will get a lower payout in the future. Okay, so it's important to take a second look, okay, at your retirement plan and adjust accordingly. Okay, we'll discuss later on more in detail about this.
I think for me, in a nutshell, like what Simon and Louis have shared, right? The CPF system evolves, so it's crucial to stay informed about any changes that might impact your retirement planning. And the key point is to diversify your retirement funds into various streams of income, such as ETFs, funds, retirement plans, lifetime income plans, equity bonds, rental properties, etc. This can help to reduce the risk and ensure a more stable income during your retirement days.
Hey, thank you, speakers. So I think all in all, these insights shared underscore the significance of proactive planning and adaptation to secure financial well-being in retirement amidst all these evolving policies, right? And with these tips given by our speakers, I believe now we have a better idea on what steps to take in order to adapt to these updates effectively. So on to our next question, and I feel is the most important question of the night. And I'm sure many of you here today are also very curious about what you should do after the closure of your SA account. So for this question, we have, after the closure of the SA account, should I transfer my savings to my OA or RA? So, let's have our speakers here share our thoughts with us. So Evelyn, could we get you to share what you think with us first?
I've seen a lot of questions regarding this, so maybe this might help to address some of your questions. So I think it really depends on your financial goals and circumstances. So there are some considerations. So I'll just list out 4 over here. Firstly, if your retirement account that's being used for your RA account is being used for retirement income. So if your goal is to maximize your retirement savings and you don't need any immediate access to your funds, right? Transferring to your RA can be a good option, because the RA is specifically designed to provide you with a steady stream of income during your retirement years. But just take note that this decision is irreversible. Yeah. So second point is use OA for flexibility. So on the other hand, if you value liquidity and flexibility and also anticipate needing access to the funds for housing, education, or other purposes, transferring to your OA might be a more suitable option, because the OA allows for more flexible use of funds and can be withdrawn for various purposes, as I've listed above. The third point is your income needs. So you have to assess your income needs during your retirement. If you have other sources of income and you don't rely heavily on the CPF savings for your retirement income, you may prioritize liquidity and flexibility over maximizing your CPF savings. So how about Louis and Simon can also share your thoughts on this?
Maybe I'll just share my view. Actually, this is a typical question that we always receive, right? And in this kind of online sharing, it's quite tough for us to give you a one-size-fits-all solution, right? Because we don't know what is your background, what is your current situation, right? Yeah. So I think maybe just to ask yourself one question, okay? Are you okay with locking in more money in the retirement account that you cannot touch until age 65? Okay, so you ask yourself this question: are you okay to lock in more money in retirement account such that you can't touch this amount of money, right, until age 65? If the answer is a no, all right, for you, okay, then it's easy, right? You don't transfer SA to RA. Okay, your solution is to transfer your SA to your OA. All right, yeah, so that is your option. Okay, on the other hand, okay, if you are fine with locking in the money or more money in RA, all right, then the next question is how much to lock in, right? Although the cap is like 4 times of BRS, but you don't have to max up, right? You can top up additional at 10,000, 20,000, right? Yeah. So the next question is how much would you want to lock in into this RA account? Okay. So how to decide, right? I think what you can do is you can check on how much CPF life payout that you want to receive from age 65 onwards. Okay. So use this amount. Okay. You can work backward. Okay, to determine how much to transfer to RA in order to achieve the CPF life payout that you want to achieve. Okay, and this one you can just go to CPF life. There's an estimator for to determine the amount that you need to transfer to RA.
Hey, Simon, how about you?
Oh, for me, I agree with Louis. There is no one size fits all solution because not everybody has the same financial situation, retirement goals, and retirement timeline. So as what Evelyn has shared, CPF Life, right, it provides a lifelong monthly payout, providing a stream of income for the basic living expenses, as it addresses the concern of the one outliving their savings. So this lifelong income stream, right, it offers a sense of security as the payouts are guaranteed for life. However, since CPF life payouts lifetime, the payout would be therefore spread out, reducing the amount of payout per month. Okay, for some may want to have more concentrated payout during their initial retirement years. At the same time, the payout eligibility age for CPF life is currently set at 65 years old, which may not align with everyone's preferred retirement age. This could result in a gap between when you retire and when CPF life payout begin. Therefore, one has to weigh these considerations to make this decision of transferring their SA savings to OA or RA account.
Hey, thank you, Simon. Thanks, speakers, for sharing, your valuable insights. So I believe that, we can all resonate with the perspectives, right, shared by the speakers, highlighting the fact that there's no one size fit all solution. And indeed, individuals come from diverse financial backgrounds and have unique goals. So it's fascinating to ponder these considerations offered by our speakers, providing us with the food for thought as we transition onto our next set of questions. Okay, so our next question would be, with the increment of enhanced retirement sum, ERS, how much income can I generate with the higher ERS? So, Louis, could we maybe get you to start on this?
Okay, so this question is easier, right? Because it's as announced, right? Based on the 2025 enhanced retirement sum, which is 426,000, the projected payout from the CPF Life Standard Plan would be $3,330 per month. Okay, so please note that this number is based on the year 2025. The retirement sum is projected to increase by about 3% per year. So this means that if you reach age 55 in a later year, right, which is like for me, maybe another 20 years to go, right? So the enhanced retirement sum is definitely higher than the 426,000. Okay, and of course, I will be expecting higher payout as well.
Thank you, Louis. Simon, would you like to share your thoughts on this?
Other than the standard plan that Louis shared, there are also basic and escalating plan to choose from. For basic plan, it provides a lower payout than the standard plan. The projected payout for basic plan will be roughly about 3,000 per month instead. The reason why there is a lower payout than standard plan is because less of our retirement account savings is used for CPF life premium. With the escalating plan, monthly payouts start lower initially at 2006, but grow by 2% a year for life. This generally, right, helps us to maintain our desired retirement lifestyle even as the prices of items increase over the years. Evelyn, what would you like to share with the audience?
I think you guys have touched on the income. Just one more things to note. Besides the income that is generated from the above three options, the amount that's being bequeathed to loved one differs as well. So what it means that when the CPF holder pass on, the amount left behind for the loved ones. So in general, the bequest amount is equivalent to the premium that's being used to join your CPF life, right? Minus away the payout that you have received over the years. So this means that any remaining in your CPF savings used to join CPF life, after accounting all the payout received, will be paid to your beneficiary upon your death, plus any balances from your OA and MA. So it's important to note that the bequest amount is really based on the CPF life premium that you use to join and the payout received. So the actual amount can really vary depending on your specific circumstances.
Hey, thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, speakers. So these insights certainly shed light on the intricacies of CPF life plans. So, I mean, to the audience, don't worry if you find it a little complex. Feel free to ask any questions in our Q&A so that we can, get the speakers to answer them during the Q&A section at the end. Okay. So on to our next question is another interesting one. So what do these changes mean to young CPF accumulators or a near retiree? So, I mean, I think I would consider myself to be a young CPF accumulator, right? And this is definitely something that I'd like to know more about. So maybe we can get Simon to share your thoughts on this with us first.
The young CPF accumulators like you, yourself, will easily have about easily 20 to 30 years ahead to accumulate your savings. I feel the changes, right, could lead to a greater awareness on retirement planning and financial literacy among the younger population, helping them to better prepare for a financially secure future. They may start to prioritize long-term financial goals, such as saving for retirement, over their short-term expenses. For individuals approaching retirement age, I think they will need to start considering their CPF life options and decide on the CPF life plan that best suits their needs. This decision should take into account factors such as desired retirement lifestyle, health considerations, and legacy planning goals. How about you, Evelyn? How would you answer this question?
I would firstly like to think that I'm also like a young CPF accumulator. So I'll just keep it very simple. For young CPF accumulators, change is the only constant, right? We in a nutshell, we really cannot rely with just one source of retirement income. We have to diversify because we can't really predict what's going to happen in the future regarding the CPF policies. Well, for the near retirees, if you're still unsure of which plan option to take, right? I would say that do speak with a trusted advisor. Yeah. How about you, Louis?
Yeah, correct. I think two types of so-called CPF people here. Okay, one is for younger generation people. CPF retirement might seems like not a big deal because the retirement is still a long way to go. But it's a good reminder, right, for us to know that CPF rules can shift, right? So we should think beyond CPF or just using CPF for retirement planning. Okay, and of course, if you are nearing to retirement, okay, it's definitely the time that you should reassess your plan. Okay, talk to a trusted advisor to map out a comprehensive strategy. Okay, the retirement plan that you had in mind before these changes might need some adjustment. Okay, yeah, so that is how I see it.
Thank you, speakers, for sharing. So I believe it's crucial, to recognize that while CPF rules may change, young CPF accumulators like myself and Evelyn should also consider diversifying, beyond CPF and not rely solely on one source of retirement income, right? So as emphasized by our speakers. So for anyone in our audience tonight who may be uncertain about which plans to pursue or if their plans are sufficient for retirement, especially given these new changes, remember to consult with your trusted advisor. So moving on to our next question, speaking of the younger generations, right? So what financial options suit younger generations and what can I do with CPF OA? So maybe we can get the younger Evelyn to share her thoughts with us first.
Okay, sure. Okay, as a self-employed individual, I contribute to my CPF for both retirement and tax planning purposes. So for me, I actively invest and allocate a portion of my CPF OA to stocks and funds. So, but the thing is that, you need to know that there's limit on your withdrawals for your investment. If you're unsure, you log into your CPF dashboard to check how much you can invest using your CPF OA or SA. So, I mean, I've seen clients who have accidentally invested more than required to top up with cash, or if not, they probably may have to sell at that existing price. So for a safer investment, the CPF OA can also be used to purchase your T-bills, which is quite hot in the market over the last 2 years, bonds, Singapore bonds, and some banks do offer some short-term deposits as well. So, I mean, to get started to invest for CPF OA, the first thing you need to do is to complete your CPF investment scheme self-awareness questionnaire online, right? Then thereafter, you can open a CPF IS account online with any one of the 3 CPF IS agent banks, which is your OCBC, DBS, and UOB. Thereafter, the third point is to review your risk tolerance and financial goals before deciding which options are more suitable for you. Yeah, this is for my own CPF investment strategy. How about you, Louis?
Yeah, correct. Actually, 3 of us is about the same age. Okay, yeah. So we are the younger generation people. Okay. But anyway, so like what Evelyn shared, right? So there are many type of investment you can look at. Okay. And even though younger generation people have a longer time horizon, we always thought that when we have a longer horizon, meaning we are able to take more risk, we should be able to take more risk, take more fluctuation. But actually, it's important, okay, to reassess, okay, look at your own risk tolerance. Okay, sometimes you have long horizon doesn't mean that you are able to accept higher risk investment. Okay, yeah. So the other one is also to ask yourself is whether you want to be actively manage your own investment or you want to invest passively. Okay, so because we ask this question, okay, you are allowed to decide what kind of approach for investment. Okay, if you're active investor, maybe you want to look at like stocks investment, direct investment in stocks. Okay, but if you want to be a little bit more passive, maybe you can consider like ETF or funds for investment. Okay, how about Simon?
Yeah, for some younger generation people, I believe they may already be using some of their CPF OA savings for the purchase of their house. So for individuals who are able to invest after making provisions for the purchase, as well as having the minimum amount in their CPF OA to invest, can look into invest their CPF OA funds in the instruments as shared by Evelyn and Louis. But if it's for a person who wants a balance of passive and a active investor, I think the funds could be suitable for them, where building a diversified portfolio across different asset classes and geographical regions, right, will be able to have access to these different types of sectors. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Thanks, speakers, for sharing your insights on, financial options that are suitable for the younger generation like ourselves. So I believe the audience now, they have a clearer understanding of how they can maximize the potential of their CPF OA and explore various investment strategies as well that is available to them. Okay, so we are on to our third poll and also the last poll for the night. So considering the recent CPF changes in 2024, how prepared do you feel regarding your retirement planning? So the same thing, if you are on Facebook, you can comment in the chat box on your answer. If you are on Zoom, you can just click on your answer. So we have 4 options over here: very prepared, somewhat prepared, not very prepared, and not prepared at all. Okay, so we shall wait about 1 to 2 minutes for the results to come in. Okay. So I think we can see here that most of our audience actually chose that they are somewhat prepared, right? And many of you also chose that you're not very prepared, right? So I think that's very interesting results that we have here. So I think, moving on to our next question over here, I think this is also one of the questions that, many people are curious about, would be, how does the raise in the CPF ordinary wage ceiling affect the senior workers? So perhaps we can get Louis to share his thoughts on this first.
Yeah, okay, so what this means is that both you and your employer will be putting in more contribution to CPF account. All right, so this actually help you to build up more saving for retirement. However, the trade-off could be that your take-home cash pay might be a little bit lower due to increase in the CPF deduction from your salary. But I think overall this is a positive change for CPF, okay, because you are able to accumulate for higher future retirement saving. How about you, Simon? What do you think?
Yes, I have the same view as with you, Louis. I'm treating this as a positive change. Essentially, we can say that there's a pay increment with the additional CPF contribution from our employer. However, as you mentioned, right, some of them may not like to stomach the lower take-home pay in cash. Another downside I'd like to share is if to consider those older workers, right, some may find it harder to secure employment if their employers are required to contribute more to their CPF accounts. Employers may be more reluctant to hire older workers because of this. And in my view, this raise in CPF ordinary wage ceiling could still help the mass population to set aside more towards retirement.
Hey, very interesting. Thanks, Vikas, for sharing. So I think it's very reassuring, right, to hear that this change is generally positive for CPF and is viewed as beneficial for our future retirement savings as well. So, okay, before we move on to our Q&A section, we have our final question over here. How do the different CPF life plans actually operate, and what important factors should you think about before deciding on the right plan for you? So, Evelyn, would you like to go ahead and share your insights with us first?
Okay, so there are 3 plans to choose, and generally the majority will take up standard plan. The standard plan suit those who prioritize like higher personal payout over leaving a substantial amount for your beneficiaries. So if you believe your dependent don't need a large bequest, then this could be the plan for you. The basic plan is for those who are confident in their retirement savings and who prefer a lower CPF life payout to leave more for their beneficiaries. And lastly, is the escalating plan is ideal if you want to ensure your payout keep pace with your future inflation, supporting potentially higher expenses down the road. So in a nutshell, most CPF holders opt for standard plans, I would say. What about you, Louis?
Okay, so yeah, Evelyn explained about the payout structure for CPF holder. I'll touch on a little bit on the bequest calculation. Okay, yeah. So understanding the bequest calculation, which is like a death payout to the beneficiary, is important, right? And for standard and escalating plans, how they calculate bequest is like the money inside your RA account at 65, okay, will be used to pay for CPF life premium to secure for your lifetime payout. When you pass on, okay, the bequest amount will be the total premium paid, okay, which is the amount deducted from RA at 65 minus the payout that you receive. Okay, yeah, so that is how they determine the bequest amount. Okay, total amount of RA account that you transfer to CPF Life minus whatever you receive, that will be the bequest amount. Okay, however, the basic plan, okay, around 80 to 90%, okay, of your RA saving will be directly fund for your payout until around age 90. Okay, only the remaining 10 to 20% of your RA account will be used to pay for so-called the CPF life premium. Okay, so I mean, we won't want to go through the calculation, but this setup actually resulted in a higher bequest, right, as compared to standard and escalating plans. Okay, which is why, right, if you want higher bequest, less payout, you go for basic plan. If you want higher payout, lesser bequest, you go for standard plan or escalating plan if you want to have higher payout in the future. Yeah.
Hey, awesome. Thank you, speakers. So I think now we have a better understanding on how the different CPF life plans actually work, right? And what important factors you should think about before deciding on which is the right plan for you. So Before we move on to our Q&A section, we welcome you to connect with PhillipCapital or any of our financial specialists here tonight. So all of them have something in common. They are active in social media and they are always very generous in sharing and broadcasting value-added financial tips to their clients and followers. So they are also expanding their team and welcome like-minded individuals to explore more with them. Okay, so for those who are also enjoying the webinar like this one and would like to stay connected with us to receive more updates whenever we have more of these such webinars, give us a like on our Facebook page as well. Okay, so now for the exciting part of the night, right? Let's get on with the Q&A section. So let's see what are some of the questions that we have here with us. Okay, so I think over here, so we have a lot of questions actually. So we're just going to choose one right now. Okay, so by someone that was anonymous, the question is the changes to the closing of the SA after 55. What happens to those who are above 55 and have investments in their SA? So have they got to sell all of their investments? Hope your sharing will clarify this. Maybe this one, could we get Louis to share this, to answer this question?
Yeah, okay. So if you have invested your SA, all right, and then when you turn age 55, and then next year your CPF SA account will be closed, right? You don't have to sell your SA. I mean your SA investment. You can continue to hold until whenever you want to sell. Okay, the sales proceed will go back to SA, but the SA is closed, so by default will transfer to OA. Okay. And of course, you want to transfer OA to RA, you can do so if you haven't hit the enhanced retirement sum.
Okay, thank you, Louis. So our next question over here, also by an anonymous attendee. Do you recommend that we withdraw the excess of our OA account at age 55 to invest, or should we transfer to SA for the 4% return? So Evelyn, would you like to get this question?
Okay, sure. Earlier on in our slides, we did mention this is one of the most common questions that we ask. But before that, right, the question is, should we transfer to SA? SA will be closed already. So the option is to transfer to OA or to transfer to RA. So one thing first, for those people who want certainty, concerned about risk, perhaps transferring to RA will be a better option for you, right? But just take note that the thing about transferring to RA, right, once you make the decision and you top it up, it's irreversible. It's like suddenly you feel that you need the money, you can't say that I want to withdraw the amount that I top up to RA, right? But if you are in a situation whereby potentially you might need some of the funds for like housing, education, or you want to have access to a fund in case you need a lump sum at any point in time after you're 55, then transferring to OA will be more prudent. Then the thing is, but CPF OA is only 2.5% now, right? And RA is earning beyond the 60K is earning currently 4.05%. Just take note, all these rates can always change anytime. So if you transfer to 2.5%, you transfer to OA, you can also have the option to draw out for your CPF OA and put it into other instruments if you can take on some form of risk. Like, for example, into funds, into ETFs, into, if some retirement plan can provide you certain form of guaranteed component, like a lifetime income plan. But to be very frank, at age 55, if you want to pull out 100K, for example, to do a lifetime income plan versus you putting in RA, right, the return may not be as fantastic, but it gives you the form of liquidity. So I want to add on another point is that then why some people do not want to transfer to RA. So from 55, when it closed, from 55 to 65, you are compounding and earning it at 4.05%. But once you reach 65, when your funds goes into CPF Life, you are receiving your income, but upon your demise, right, all interest that you have earned throughout the years from 65 onwards, right, will not be bequest to your family members. So this is the kind of form of risk. So in a nutshell, right, it is better for you to live longer and collect your CPF Life monthly payout. The return will be better. If not, maybe for some who want flexibility, going to your OA and maybe cashing out other better alternatives. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Evelyn. Okay, so let's move on to our next question over here by an anonymous attendee as well. So if we prefer to have liquidity bracket SA to OA, will it still be prudent to put 8K cash to RA just to reduce taxes? So Louis, would you like to take this question?
Okay, so this is something that we didn't touch on too much in this sharing, because the question referring to like 8K cash top up, which we call a retirement sum top up scheme. Of course, I mean the main advantage is reduce your taxable income. Okay, that one will still be valid. Okay, but do take note that this retirement sum top up scheme, right? The money you top up, okay, is to increase your retirement sum. Okay, so that means this amount, right, 8K you top up, by the age of 55, you can't withdraw. Okay, the money will be auto transferred to RA, okay, to achieve a higher retirement sum. Okay, so in other words, the 8K you put in, you won't see the money probably until 65. Right. So regarding so back to your question, if you prefer liquidity, okay, so again, back to the question, are you okay to lock in this amount of money until 65? If your answer is no, okay, I don't want to lock it until 65, okay, I want to enjoy early retirement, then of course, this RSTU, okay, retirement sum top up scheme, may not be relevant for you. Okay, but you have to, ask yourself, okay, is this, if you feel pain of paying this high income tax, okay, of course you still want to contribute, then of course you should decide whether it makes sense for you by weighing the benefit of tax deduction versus locking your money under 65. All right.
Hey, thank you, Louis. Okay, so let's see what other questions that we can take. Okay, so the next question we have, can we transfer some to RA and some to OA? So maybe Simon, would you like to answer this question?
It's a simple answer. If I get the question correct, it's talking about the transferring from SA account to either OA or RA account. Yes, you can transfer whatever amount, and from the SA account, it can be transferred to either RA account or OA account.
Okay, thank you, Simon.
I can just add some pointers. There's one misconception whereby I guess for many of you who has already reached your full retirement sum, you're weighing the option of whether should I top it up to ERS or to transfer it to OA. Or the other concern would be I am at FRS, but I do not have enough to meet the ERS. So I'll answer the second portion. The thing is, right, for those who have some funds, you can actually just transfer it to your RA. You don't have to have the full amount to meet the enhanced retirement sum. Yeah, that's the thing that I get this question quite often as well. Some people thought that they need to have enough funds to meet the ERS. That's not necessary. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Evelyn. Okay, next question we have by Chai Bing Tan. Where can I invest my OA amount to get greater than 5%? Simon, would you like to answer this question?
Oh, to answer this question, right? I would say there will be a lot of type of investments available to be able to achieve the return of 5%. Just to take note, whether you can take on the risk appetite or volatility before we can can decide on which instruments to is most suitable for you to achieve your desired returns.
Hey, thank you, Simon, for sharing your insights. Okay, so we have another question over here by an anonymous attendee. Is it sensible to pledge property to CPF in order to withdraw a larger sum to pay mortgage or to invest the money elsewhere? So, Louis, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah, okay. So the other thing that we didn't cover today is instead of parking FRS, full retirement sum, in the RA account, you can actually pledge property, all right, such that you can withdraw the RA saving, okay, and then remain BRS, basic retirement sum, which is half of full retirement sum number in RA account. Okay, so technically you are cashing out your RA account without waiting from age 65 onwards, right? Yeah. So of course, yes, you withdraw out, you can do anything you want. You can repay your mortgage, you can invest, you can spend, okay, you can just go for travel around the world, right? But the issue is, why CPF scheme make it such that you should set aside, okay, or by default you should set aside full retirement sum, is because they want to ensure you have sufficient cash flow after 65, the retirement age, right? So for a question, is it sensible to pledge property? I mean, I think again depends, right? If your other resources, can generate some cash flow for you after 65, then of course, yes, you can take out, you can pledge property and take out the money from RA and repay a mortgage or even invest. Okay, and of course, invest like what Simon said. I mean, there are so many ways to invest. Okay, some higher return, but potentially higher risk as well. Right. So do your own assessment. I think in a nutshell, you should make sure you have sufficient cash flow for retirement. That's number one. Then only to decide whether to take out the money. All right.
Okay, thanks, Louis, for sharing your insights. Okay, so we have another question. We actually have a lot of questions, so I think tonight we can only afford to choose some questions to answer. But let's move on to our next question over here by anonymous attendee. How do I use my OA funds to purchase Tbills? So maybe this question I'll pass it to Evelyn to answer.
Okay, so earlier on in one of my sharing, the first thing you need to do is that you need to fill up the CPF self-awareness, CPF investment scheme self-awareness questionnaire. Just can do a Google and then the thing will pop up. Can do it. It's done online. Yeah, once you clear that, just make sure you actually have a CPF investment account with one of the 3 local banks. In the past, you probably have to go to the branch, but nowadays you can actually apply it online. So once you have the CPF investment account being set up, when there is new tranche of Tbills that's being out, you got to go and check MAS website when it will be launched and ready for us to bid, right? Then you log into your local CPFIS banking app, internet banking app, or website to apply for it under investment. I hope that answers your question.
Maybe just to add on, like of course, how to buy is not difficult, right? But the downside is when you use OA to purchase your so-called treasury bill, your OA amount will be gone from OA. That means you are losing 2.5% interest. Okay, not just 6 months, all right? It could be up to 8 months interest gone, because I mean the month that you withdraw from from OA, CPF board will base on the balance in the lowest balance in the OA account. So that month when we draw will not be able to earn the interest. Okay, then the 6-month holding period, in the T-bill, you also won't get the interest from OA. All right, and then when the money transfer back to OA after after the T-bill matured, get that particular month also will not get the interest. Okay, so technically you will be expecting about 7 to 8 months interest from OA will be gone. Okay, so do your own calculation whether it makes sense, depending on how much is the return from T-bill.
Okay. Thanks, Louis. Thanks, Evelyn. Thanks for answering the question. Okay, I think we will take one last question from Sherman Poon. He says, hi, just to check, as I got no CPF because I work overseas and my HDB is already fully paid off. So the question will be, if I sell my HDB and after all amount has been returned back to CPF, can I use all of them to buy a new property? whether it's HDB or private, and he will be 55 years old next year. Does any of the speakers want to take this question?
Sorry, I didn't catch up. I was looking at all the other questions.
It's okay. I think okay. By
Melvin,
Sherman. The question is by Sherman Poon.
Okay, okay, sorry.
Yes.
It's a top, the first question. Okay, so
Yes, correct.
so maybe just to
Correct.
repeat now, okay, if I got no CPF because I work overseas, okay, my HDB already fully paid off. Okay, question will be if I sell my HDB, all right, all the amount will return to CPF. Okay, can I use that to buy new property? Yes, I mean, I don't see any issue if you want to buy new property when you have already get the sales proceed from selling for HDB back to CPF. I don't see any issue with that. All right. It doesn't depend on age. Yeah. Okay. Probably the only issue is like, when you buy another property, you will use up some of OA or most of OA. Right. Then if your asset is not sufficient to park into RA to hit FRS, all right, then you have not much left in OA. Okay, that means your RA account will be probably a smaller portion in that sense, right? You're unable to achieve FRS, and then most of the CPF will be locked into a property. Yeah, and of course, if that's the case, all right, your payout from CPF Life will be lower than the usual FRS number. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Louis. Okay, I think we will really take one last question, before we move on, by an anonymous attendee. So the question is, is the bequest calculation based on age 55 or 65? So maybe we'll pass this to Simon.
Okay, this one, I think this question will be based on understanding the mechanics of the RA account setting up and how the premiums go towards the CPF life premium. So to explain, right, is when the account is set up in a retirement account at age 55, right, this amount will be set aside depending on how much you have from the SA account and OA account. So when this amount, right, is being set aside into SA account, we will see that as mentioned, the 4% returns, right, will be accumulating in your RA savings. So if we were to give an example, right, how this bequest calculation is being made, maybe I give an example. So assuming that your CPF life premium has this amount of 200,000, and let's say this person passes on after receiving a payout of say 1,000 a month and receive for 10 months. Okay, so this CPF life premium balance of 190,000, i.e. that we minus using 200,000, which is the CPF life premium, minus whatever payout has been received. Okay, that together with any savings will be payable to your beneficiaries. So on the other hand, if you pass away before receiving any payouts, will the CPF life will premium balance of 200,000 with any of your CPF savings in your account, right, will be payable to your beneficiaries. I hope the answer is answered.
Thank you, Simon. Okay, thanks, speakers, for answering, all the questions in the Q&A section. So there were a lot of questions, right? But anyway, so before, we end off this wonderful session with our panelists tonight, we would also like them to share their final tips with the audience, on the latest CPF changes. So maybe we can get Louis to start first.
Yeah. Okay. So so we have not much time to answer all the questions. Okay. Yeah, but maybe just to have one tips from me is like, yeah, CPF is a solid foundation, okay, for sure, for retirement planning. Okay, but do remember that CPF scheme can change over time. That's why it's important to stay updated on retirement planning. Okay, do an annual check-in with your trusted financial advisor to make sure that you're on track with your retirement goals. All right, so how about Simon?
I think in this session, right, I think regarding the CPF changes, most of the guests will be able to capture the essence of what has happened and then what changes will be made coming 2025, and some changes that will be happening. So I believe, right, ultimately we want to feel confident and feel secure with our retirement planning. And when it comes to making decisions with any future changes above these latest changes, it is important to weigh the disadvantages against the benefits and consider each individual's circumstances and preferences. Each of us, our needs, right, and strategies can be unique. So consulting, same as what Louis mentioned, consulting with your financial advisor, having someone to explore your options, right, based on your specific situation would be ideal.
Okay, for me, tips are, number one is actually CPF website has a lot of very useful resources. So you can actually Google for CPF life estimator, and then you can run your own projection, because all of us have different amounts in our CPF account to really know how much you're going to get at which point, right? Because very likely you are still working from 55 to 65, which will still likely have CPF contribution. To know your updated numbers, you can actually run this number yourself by the CPF life estimator. Then you can, if you're still very unsure whether what you should do, right, with all these numbers, right, you can actually, consult your trusted advisor to, if you're unsure of your shortfall or which option suits you best. Or like if you want to cash out the amount, then what are the alternatives, and run some numbers and weigh your options out. CPF Life works best when you receive the income for as long as you can. So do also note interest earned from your CPF Life from age 65 onwards goes to the common pool and will not be paid out to the beneficiaries upon demise. Right, that's all.
Okay, thank you, speakers, for sharing your final tips, with our audience tonight. So I think all in all, I believe now we have uncovered actionable insights into optimizing the recent CPF changes and leveraging diverse investment strategies to strengthen our retirement funds. So once again, you may connect with any of our speakers here tonight if you wish to understand more and if you have more questions. So, if we have come to the end of tonight's session, and I would like to thank all our three speakers for their unreserved and open sharing, and a very big thank you to everyone who has stayed here with us so far. So do join us for our future Ask Me Anything episodes as well. We would love to have you here again. So see you all and good night. Bye, everyone.